The views and opinions expressed on this program do not reflect the company, owners, management, staff, clients, or partners.
It's Wednesday, the 13th day of July, 2022. Welcome to the Daily Hour, brought to you by Medical Wells, One Communications, and Lindos. I'm Jamal Hartman. She's Sherry Vanderpool, and Leanna Lambert will be with us in a bit to bring you the latest in her news break, brought to you by People's Pharmacy. Sherry.
We are intentional today with these colors
No,
because
you accused me the other day.
accused you. It was what it was. It's any shade of red, and that pink.
It wasn't
a shade of red.
Blue. You know that dress where people were saying if it's what, silver or blue or gold or blue, whatever. Remember that situation? And people were saying put it in light and all that. That's what happened the other day. You all thought it was
No, you got caught slipping. That's
No,
all it is.
blue.
You got caught slipping.
Caught
We
slipping.
could roll back the tape and run a pool. You don't want to do that now, do you?
Deception.
You don't want to do that. But today you're very intentional.
The eyes of the people were deceived. Yeah, it's time, folks. It's time. I'm not putting up with you red and blue people. It's time. It's time. What can I say? What can I say? We're coming. It's our year. It's our year. And
Did you see what I put in the group chat about these St. George's team, all of them being recalls, like Neil Gibbons and Larry
But see, Sherry, I've learned to ignore the disrespectful trolls from the red and blue side.
Trolls.
Yeah, I've learned to ignore the disrespectful troll because at the end of the day, I'm a nice person. I'm a kind person. I don't brag when my team wins. I don't, get all, rude and whatnot. I mean,
rude.
Yeah, I don't do that stuff. Let me move on because I'm gonna get caught on line. Greetings, everyone, and thanks for making us part of your daily routine. A good one today as we've got Stacey-Lee Williams from CURB, Citizens Uprooting Racism in Bermuda, coming on. We're talking about, I don't know if it's racial progress in Bermuda or progress against racism, but I think I like the latter better. I like the latter better. And we're going to speak about this with Miss Stacey-Lee Williams. I look forward to these kind of conversations. As you know, we had folks from CURB on recently speaking about racism and the workplace and discrimination. So love these kind of conversations, not because I like to talk about racism, but because I like to discuss progress against the said subject. The Daily Players more cup match trivia brought to you by Bermuda Trivia. I just love, Sandra had an interesting 2 days.
She did.
Sandra had an interesting 2 days. I said interesting, folks. I said interesting.
She did. We're gonna try to make it. I don't know if we want to call it interesting, because that could go kind of either way. But yeah, I guess it'll be interesting either way.
Yeah, interesting's a good word for you. Look, folks, we've got a conversation to have before we bring our guest in, as always, and a very important one. And we're gonna get straight to it. One of the things I saw yesterday, Sherry, was I was looking. Obviously, you all know I just spend a lot of time on LinkedIn. That's my social media platform of choice to outside of when I want to be irritated by sports and go on Twitter. But are Americans tuning out was the title of this article on LinkedIn News. And engagement with news across every platform has dropped dramatically in some cases to below pre-pandemic levels. And that's according to, I guess this is pronounced Axios. Data from NewsWhip Nielsen, and other shows, social media engagement or interactions with news articles took the biggest hit, falling 50% from the first half of last year, and trend partly attributed to Facebook's newsfeed. The question I think is necessary for Bermuda and Bermudians, Sherry, is, and I get it, but how can we encourage people to become more engaged in their country's affairs? Like, I'm amazed at the amount of people. Like, I didn't grow up in a political family. No one in my family spoke about politics. Not like
Really?
nobody. Nobody in my family spoke about politics. And you wouldn't think it because of how I am. But no one in my family, if any of my family members who I grew up with are tuned in, they'll tell you. No one in my family spoke about politics. To this day, I probably have one uncle that really shares opinions on politics. So I didn't grow up in a household of politics. My grandfather, to his death in 2010, never voted. He didn't care to. That was his choice, right? World War vet. He worked his, butt off, whatever. But he just was never into politics. He didn't see the difference between them all. So that said, me being so politically opinionated and aware, I guess, it's interesting to say the least. But I guess I took an interest in my country's affairs because of the, and I say this with all due respect, how uneducated of a populace I felt Bermuda overall was when it came to politics and laws and policies. I'm sure, like, I'll use Curb as an example since we have them on. I'm sure there's legislation that's been on the books since probably the 1800s or early 1900s that literally is based on some sort of racism that Bermudians are quite fine with or don't know about. And so those are the kind of things that drove me, my interest in wanting to end one of the most discriminatory practices in modern day Bermuda, which is conscription, which discriminated and basically conscripted only men, disproportionately Black men. So that's what drove my interest. But the question of the morning is, how can we encourage more people to become more engaged in their country's affairs? How can we encourage people? Like, do people have to be discriminated against? Do people have to be at their wits' end, like not able to find jobs? Like, what will it take to generate more interest amongst the electorate, amongst the citizens, the residents of the country, to become more politically involved? That's your question, audience. What will it take for you to become more engaged in your country's affairs?
And for me, Jamal, okay, and when you sent me this information, I did read it kind of differently than what we're speaking about today. But in regard to your question, I think that, I always say that word, transparency, right? And when you're looking at politicians and people, Bermudians and people want to feel like they are a part of something. And the only way that we could do that is being very transparent and upfront in what we're doing. And if you want to have buy-in, that has to be followed through with. So when you're talking about putting new programs in place and inviting the people and seeing the program or the outline all the way through to the end for it to happen instead of feeling like we're just talking. I think a lot of situations we're not engaged because we feel like we're just talking about it and not actually doing, some action behind it to make it come to fruition.
So you believe that to encourage people to become more engaged in their country's affairs, they need to see more action by the people making decisions?
The people making decisions, and you see the people making decisions canvassing and walking around and doing, and then once they get voted in, you don't see anybody else doing anything. How are you supposed to continue to have your community involved if you don't show up as well? And not show up in heels and dress shoes, and show up as I would.
But I'm thinking honestly, and I know you all might, because of how I opened up, I'm actually even thinking beyond politics. Like, I don't think our country's affairs are all tied to politics. We have a tendency right now to think that our country's affairs should be discussed on like Magic's lists or Twitter and stuff like that. We One of the biggest concerns we have is cost of living, right? We often hear people saying that their number one concern outside of education and violence is cost of living, and it seems so cliche at this point that I'm not quite sure we know what that means. Honestly,
Right.
I'm really not quite sure that we understand what we're asking for, and that's why for me it's like becoming more engaged in your country's affairs will help you understand you can't just go to a government and say do something to reduce the cost of living, because once you do that it's a domino effect, and someone mentioned it last week. It creates other problems, and if you're aware of your country's affairs, meaning the political side, the business side, you understand the economics, then you realize cost of living is not something that the government can just regulate without impacting you on the other end. What do I mean by that is if government puts in place what's the price controls, right?
Right. Yeah.
If they do something like that, well, how does that impact you economically? We don't think that far. So again, audience, this is the question. How can we get you to become more engaged in your country's affairs? Like what will it take for you to and being more engaged doesn't mean being loud and having
Right.
opinions like me. It doesn't mean that. It just means speaking to people, like going to Mr. Craig Simmons and having a conversation to just, hey, Mr. Simmons, my name's such and such, I just want to learn more about the economic state of Bermuda. It doesn't always mean going to a politician or calling them or waiting on them to canvass you. It can mean just going to an expert in your community, someone who's always there, finger on the pulse, and really getting an understanding of where we are and how we're navigating the spaces we're in.
And stay engaged with the daily hour. For me, I have learned a lot on this show, and having Zach Monis on the last week was, it continues to be eye-opening. And I definitely go into the grocery store now, or will be going to the grocery store in Bermuda with a different set of eyes and a different lens on the prices and the cost and things of that nature. So and having those conversations I had with my stepmother, who's actually in that business, and she's reconfirming a lot of what Zach had to say. So it's this show helps with that.
Yeah, you make a great point, Sherry, and this shows a perfect example of how you can be more engaged with your country's affairs. Like, we're not experts. We have conversations with experts like Zach and Tamra and others who come on this show to share information about what's going on. For instance, we haven't spoken about pharmaceutical goods, right? Stuff like that. We speak about groceries going up. We haven't spoken about pharmaceuticals. I didn't realize until my mom would say how much medication is. Like, and if you don't have insurance, I mean, you're talking $8,000 a month out of pocket. Like, there's certain things that, again, and I'm not saying ease our politicians up at all, folks. What I'm simply saying is that being engaged and aware of your country's affairs is not just about politics. It's really about engaging conversations like what we have on this show. It's really about engaging people you consider experts. Let's talk to the people around Bermuda. What's it called? Electric Light Company, Belco, they still call it, right? Let's talk to them about learning about these rates, or the RA who come on this show, the regulatory authority.
Yeah.
That's what being engaged with your country's affairs is. Because it's so easy to read headlines and have conversations about, oh, Belco is going up again. Oh, groceries are going up. There's so little information. It's so easy to be angry and have a quick response. It's so easy.
And as we stated, everything is going up everywhere. Don't think that Jamal's in Florida, Sherry's in Atlanta, and we're just like, oh, we're over here with our 99-cent such and such. Things that were 99 cents are now $1.25. Things that were gas that was
$1.29, 4-cent difference. Remember that McDonald's dollar menu?
Oh, it's no longer? How do you know that?
I don't know that, but I do know that, but I don't shop at McDonald's. But there was a meme on Twitter just I want to say this week saying our parents lied to us when they said they didn't have money for McDonald's because they are showing the old price list. McDonald's
Yeah.
prices have gone so far up, and I haven't had a
Really?
Big Mac since the 90s, folks. Right? And I was like, man, $3.29
And
for a Big Mac meal.
well, and I believe like the dollar or Family Dollar or the dollar
Mhm.
store here in the States is not truly everything a dollar. I think it's up $1.25. As like in Bermuda, I don't think they call it the dollar store anymore. It might be called the $2 store.
See, people will only see the end result of that. They'll just see the price
Yes.
going up. Because they don't engage in their country's affairs, they have no idea what contributes to that. I think one of the things that I've learned from being in business is when prices go up, it doesn't mean the owners of that business, it doesn't mean the business is being greedy. I think that's something that the more you engage in your country's affairs, you start to understand. Not every business is out to get you. It's not the white man or the boogeyman trying to take advantage of you.
Exactly, Jamal. Even like the pandemic for me opened up my eyes for a
Mhm.
lot of those kind of things. As I mentioned before, I was like, supply chain? Like, what are you talking about? What is that? I had never heard about supply chain and what that entailed and how it was affecting us globally.
I can tell she didn't do an MBA, folks. She went the good route because my goodness, I didn't like those courses. Sheikha Rana says some volunteer opportunities present an awesome way to learn about civic community issues. She's right. The question of the morning: how can we engage people to encourage people to become more engaged in their country's affairs? She is absolutely right. Getting out there and into your community and doing certain things will help you gain a better understanding of what's going on. How do things happen? Why do things become what they do? Folks, I want to hear from the audience. You're quiet on this one. I mean, to the most point, for the most part, most of you are very engaged on this show as far as being engaged. But how can we get your friends and family and those who may not be into the Daily Hour, Bermuda's Daily Talk Show? Like, how do you get them more engaged in the country's affairs? Again, it's so easy going on Magic's List to, complain and moan about
Yeah.
rising prices. And, here's the one that gets me. When people go to a restaurant, Sherry,
Mm-hmm.
what? I just paid $25 for a burger and fries. And I'm like, okay, you had a choice. You could have asked the price before you ordered it or paid for it. And, it's you got to remember, I'm a person who was part of a fight to end a law where choice wasn't given.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm always confused by people who complain about something when they had a choice. That confuses me a bit.
Got you.
But if you're aware of your country's affairs, I'm not saying you won't be upset, but you'll have a greater understanding and your complaint probably won't be as loud.
Right.
Sherry, when I say prices are going up, I forgot to save my receipt for this show. Went get me some fruit and avocados on Sunday.
How much did you pay?
$73. And that was a $36 bag, want to say
Yeah.
years ago, literally. And you all maybe say, oh, that's all. But again, folks, it's relative. It's relative. I'm tired of telling you. That post I had on my WhatsApp status last week. It's like Bermudians have got to be smarter than what we express. Black people got to be smarter than what we express. Like, stop looking at someone in Texas who's saying, what, a one bedroom, 1,300, and saying that's all. Well, we've got to be smarter to understand economics. I'm going to break it down just like I did on my status for people who don't know. If someone in Bermuda is making $90,000 a year and their one bedroom apartment is $2,600, that's no different from someone making $45,000 a year and paying $1,300 for rent. folks, understand economics and margin. It's not difficult to understand. Like I'm not quite sure how we can look down on people. I think what we're experiencing now is let's remember, not too long ago, Bermuda, oh, you're making all this money. And Mark Bean warned us about this. He warned us about this. These mortgages and these fancy, we had union marches years ago, and people got the Louis Vuitton bags and everything. Because we were made to believe we made a lot of money because our counterparts in maybe our former classmates in the US didn't have the accelerates. They also didn't have the expenses.
Right. I give the same example, Jamal. When people, I'm like, whatever salary I'm making, just half it. And that's what it is in the States. But half everything else is relative. It really is.
Yeah, it's not hard to understand, folks. What are your thoughts? How can we become more engaged and get people to become more engaged in their country's affairs? Here's a suggestion for me. I'll say this much: the way to get people to become more engaged in the country's affairs is honestly just speaking about what's going on that impacts them. If you know they're not interested in who's going to be the next premier, let's say there's a PLP delegates conference, don't speak about that. But if you know they are interested in lowering the cost of living, then speak to them about, you know what? This is why we pay this for groceries. Share the information that Zach shared. Share the information about the supply chain. Have those discussions. Because by doing that, they gain a greater understanding of their country's affairs and realize, hold on, how can the government really do anything without price controls? And again, once you implement price controls, once the government starts getting involved in that respect, things got a bit sticky, folks.
And Jamal, again, just being tuned into the show and having these conversations, I'll tell you one thing I never knew. I'm today's years old, as the kids say. I never knew we had to pay for the ship to go back because it's empty and we don't export.
Right. Zach did say that.
So, like, you have to pay thousands of dollars on top of that because the country does not export anything else.
Most Bermudians truly think that a lot of people thought that because things were shipped, the grocery stores just tacked the price on that to make a profit. Then people started to understand there's duty and so on. Then people start to realize that there's other fees. So I think we're making gradual steps to understanding the economy, but because we're not as engaged in the country's affairs and we only think politics when it comes to the country's affairs and not understanding economics and civics overall, that's where we are. Let's see what Leanna thinks. Wonder what Lee thinks. How can we get people more engaged in the country's affairs? Leanna's maybe not loud about it or very opinionated, but she knows what's going on because of her line of work, right? So let's bring Lee into the conversation. Good morning, Lee. How are you?
Good morning, guys. I feel excited to be back. Had to take a little hiatus. I know my people in Bermuda understand when you sleep with an air conditioned full blast and then you wake up and you have no voice and you're all stuffy and you have like this little fresh cold, my mom says. You're looking at yourself like, it ain't COVID
though. I'm just saying. I mean, that's the first question people been asking for the last year. So you got what they call it, the vid.
You got the Rona. No.
Yeah. That's what they.
So it was just a little cold. Air conditioned. It's humid in Bermuda. It is humid. I know you guys are in your respective zones right now, and you're not feeling this island.
As I have a blanket on underneath her. As I have a blanket on.
No, I get on the AC and I just begin to cough. Like AC is making me cough, like just coming all in my nostrils and my mouth. Yeah, it's I get you. I get you. Lee, what you think? What you think? You got an opinion?
No, I think this is a really interesting conversation. And it's funny because I was just talking to my partner as he was walking out for work, and it's like this is an interesting topic because I think first and foremost it's becoming knowledgeable and making ourselves aware first and foremost of what's actually affecting the country and how it's affecting us, and understanding the fundamentals, like how the economy works. I know this show particularly has opened my eyes and given me a lot of wow moments of, oh really, that's how it's done. Or just like Sherry said, oh, we paid for the boat to come back, or I mean to leave, or so there's so many factors that I think that we're not knowledgeable in those areas. And I think if we start to actually fact check and understand, then we could start to become more engaged, because it's hard to put yourself in a playing field when you don't know all the rules, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it should be like most of us men not reading the rules and just learning on the way, and doesn't work out in our favor all the time. Let's go,
not
fellas.
all the time.
Not most times. Folks, we've got Stacey-Lee Williams coming up. Another important conversation with Curb. Lee, you ready for the news break?
Let's do this.
All right. Always good to have Leanna back. Over to you, Lee.
Thanks, Jamal and Sherry, and good morning and happy hump day to everyone that's tuned in with us today. I hope you all are having a great start to this cloudy and humid day we're experiencing. I'm Leanna Lambert, and it's time for the Daily Hour News Break, brought to you by People's Pharmacy. Well, in today's top stories, the police are continuing to investigate the firearms incident in the Orge Road, Cobbs Hill area that happened in the early hours of Monday morning. Now, police say that they are particularly interested in speaking with anyone who may have seen two persons dressed in all black acting in a suspicious manner heading east on a motorcycle between 12 a.m. and 1 a.m. The persons of interest are said to have headed east on the motorcycle, turned around at the junction with Orge Road and Cobbs Hill, and proceeded in a westerly direction shortly before residents of Orge Road and Cobbs Hill reported hearing gunshots around 12:18 that morning. Now, anyone with any information regarding the two subjects or the confirmed firearms incident is asked to call 211, the main police telephone number on 295-0011, or the Crime Stoppers hotline on 800-8477. Alternatively, you may wish to provide the information by speaking with a police officer whom you are familiar with. In other news, for those looking to head to Europe this summer, you might want to rethink those plans, as Heathrow Airport warned of more flight cancellations. Now, according to a report in the Financial Times, the UK's busiest airport said it would tell airlines to cancel more flights operating from its airfield if needed, after admitting the service has not been acceptable at times this summer. Now, Heathrow has urged airlines to stop selling tickets for summer travel in an effort to limit the number of travelers to 100,000 per day, which is about 4,000 fewer than currently scheduled. Now, the report said that passengers at Heathrow were also hit by last-minute disruptions after the airport told airlines to cancel 61 out of the roughly 1,100 flights scheduled to operate on Monday. Now, how has this affected travel for Bermudians? Well, according to Skyport, the change has not caused any additional impact on flights to the island, although British Airways had previously reduced its schedule of flights to the island, with 26 flights removed from the schedule between June and the end of September. And it might just be the history lesson of a lifetime. Students and crew aboard the Spirit of Bermuda have now departed Turks and Caicos, beginning the more than 800-mile journey back to Bermuda. Now, this trip is entitled In the Wake of Mary Prince and includes history lessons from Dr. Theodore Francis. The journey will tell the story of Mary Prince, an enslaved Black Bermudian woman who was born in Bermuda, transported to Turks and Caicos, returned back to Bermuda, transported to Antigua, and then eventually travels to England. Now, the government provided a $7,000 grant towards the initiative, with Minister of Youth, Culture, and Sport Dr. Ernest Peets saying that the voyage will provide an excellent backdrop for all onboard learning. Meanwhile, Captain Alex Peacock said that the journey of sailing is always a good metaphor for life and a good metric to see what one is capable of when faced with adversity. Now, the group of travelers are expected to arrive home this coming Friday. Taking a look at today's weather, we have a high near 84 and a low near 77 degrees. We can expect sunny periods, but a lingering shower or two may pass our way. Now, rainy periods become less frequent while the breeze eases as a nearby frontal boundary dissolves throughout the day. Thereafter, high pressure builds to the east with brighter and drier weather heading into the latter part of the week and weekend. And for those who were wondering, the humidity rate stands at 95%. That's all for our Daily Hour news break brought to you by People's Pharmacy. Now let's head back to Jamel and Sherry in the studio for today's Daily Focus.
Thanks so much for that, Lee. What you laughing at, Sherry?
95%.
But
the days of the year, Jamel, you're going to be very happy about today.
Oh, sure. What is it?
Today is French Fry Day. It's a great opportunity to take time to sample some golden brown potato slices. But did you know the origin of French fries is more likely not French at all? Potatoes were being fried in Belgium way before the French. When it comes to the tastiest French fries on the planet, everyone seems to have an opinion. It's time-consuming decision to find your favorite because no two restaurants seem to have the same recipe. French fries do have nutritional stigma attached to them. However, due to the high caloric and fat content, we're not going to worry about that part, but it's tough to say no to a hot batch, even the ones at the bottom of the bag. So happy French Fry Day. I gotta go to Chick-fil-A and get me a waffle.
Yeah, I heard that McDonald's and Wendy's, I read in the news that they're giving away free fries. I don't trust the grease at any of those places, but anyway, unfortunately I had to give up fries, folks, and I'm gonna miss out on French Fry Day this year.
That's too bad. That's too bad.
No, Lee, you and Bermuda girl, make sure you
listen. I'm going out there French fries today,
girl. Was it 42nd odd miles? They have some really good fries.
You know what fries I'm actually liking more and more these days? The crinkle ones. I prefer the crinkle fries.
Sung Sing. Don't sleep on them.
French fries, that's different.
French fries from a Chinese anyway, on that note, we'll see you tomorrow. French fries from a Chinese.
I know that one blew me too. I don't know.
Chick-fil-A, but then she went, yeah, okay, cool.
I was living vicariously through her for the Chick-fil-A, but she just threw me for a whirlwind.
But everyone can't get waffles, so I'm just giving,
We'll check you later, Lee. We got to take a commercial. I'm going to let Mary catch us off.
See you guys later.
All right, French fries. We've got Stacey-Lee Williams coming up. Get this show back on track because French fries from a Chinese joint. I don't know, folks. Stick with us. Don't go anywhere. French fries from a Chinese joint.
People's ACW, located at King Edward VII Memorial Hospital, carries over-the-counter medicines, toys, cards, and even toiletries. Our knowledgeable staff are there whether you're at emergency, visiting family, or a member of BHB staff, to show you our best even when you're feeling your worst. People's ACW, we're here for you.
Hi, I'm Karen, a nurse at the old folks home. These long hours used to kill my feet until my hairdresser told me about a great place to buy a pair of clogs. Medical House. Finally, relief. They also carry uniforms in bright, bold colors, and not to mention the support stockings.
Karen, Miss Soltis read her bed again.
Oh gosh, these days I need all the support I can get.
Medical House has relocated next to the Dendy Town Field, number 6 Bakery Lane, Pembroke.
So you've made your petty request. Now what? You will either get the requested records or be denied access to them. If you disagree with the response that you received to your petty request, the Information Commissioner's Office can review that response. The ICO is an independent public office that protects and enforces the rights under the Petty Act. petty requesters have a legal right to an information commissioner's review, and it's free.
ICO's investigators will examine how a public authority handled your petty request. If you did not get the records that you requested, we will look at the public authority's reasoning against the actual records to assess their response to your petty request.
Based on the investigators' findings, the PATI Act, and guided by the principles of integrity, fairness, and independence, I will issue a decision on whether the PATI Act requires that the public should have access to those records.
The Information Commissioner's decisions are legally binding and published on ICO.bm. When you make a petty request, rest assured that the ICO is there to uphold, protect, and enforce Petty Act rights. Visit ICO.bm to learn more.
Welcome to the new bulk store, Lindo's Next Level. Wake up in the morning with enough coffee to keep you running throughout the entire day. Your pet at home deserves the best. Stock up on dog food to keep your puppy happy. Need a quick, tasty lunch at home? Your chicken nuggets will be jumping right out of the freezer. What's a movie night without popcorn? You can never have too much. Lindo's Next Level. Why go anyplace else?
All right, welcome back to the big show. Sherry Vanderpool, I'm Jamal Hartman. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by Medical House, One Communications, Lindo's, and People's Pharmacy. Folks, if you haven't already, make sure you are subscribed on our website so you don't miss a chance for updates, promotions, prizes, and more. That's thedailyhour.com. If you're on the go and you can't watch us, that's okay. I know you might not want to see our faces sometimes. Just download the BCG Radio app, available for both Android and Apple devices. You can listen to us every time we go live. And folks, if you haven't already, do it right now, literally right now. I will share the link in, if you're watching, I'll share the link right now, but you want to register to be a part of the TDH community. We're actually having our first event with you, all of us from the Daily Hour next week, Thursday and Friday. So only if you're a TDH community member, you will get an invite to come out with us the 21st and 22nd, little happy hour thing. So sign up today so that you don't miss a chance for the benefits and activities, and you get to see Sherry be nice to me in person. Yeah, be nice to me. Anyway, without further ado, let's bring our guest for the day. We've got Stacey-Lee Williams coming on from Curb. Welcome to the show and good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for your patience. Sherry talks a lot, so we sometimes get behind one time. All right. So we appreciate your patience. Thank you. We just recently had some folks from Curb once, and it's always, our doors always wide open to welcome you on. But first off, let's just give the audience, you're very new to the role, so just explain a bit about Curb and let the audience know a bit about what your role is with the organization.
So, yes, good morning. CURB, Citizens Uprooting Racism Bermuda, is a lead organization working to eliminate racism in Bermuda. We're a non-governmental organization working to identify and dismantle racism in all of its forms and to address its effects on our community. My role right now is that of executive director. And yes, Jamal, you had mentioned that I'm new to the role. I've only been here for about 3.5 months after having worked as a diversity, equity, and inclusion director in an independent school here locally.
All righty. And we are definitely living in the time since George Floyd of diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I'll probably ask you a bit about that later on. But let's talk about racism. I'm not politically correct. I'm just trying to, that it doesn't matter to me. But okay, racism. Some people may say that it's practices. Some people may say when Black people say stuff, oh, that's racist. And then people respond, oh, Black people can't be racist, right? Some people think it's laws and practices. Like what is truly defined as racism? Is it discrimination and just calling someone a name, or is it like infrastructure that has existed over time that's given one group, advantages over others?
So, well, it is some of what you just said based on that, but the short definition of racism is it's the practice of discriminating against people based on their race or ethnic background. And I would add that racism endures over time and morphs into structural racism that's embedded in our society.
Makes sense. I'm sorry, I was into the definition. People
Not a
speak
problem.
about racial progress or progress against racism. Racism. What does that mean and look like to you?
So to me, racism basically tears at the fabric of our community, which is a tragedy for all of us, the entire community. Progress against racism to me means the development of a culture of listening to those who face racism and in acknowledging their experience and concerns. Progress against racism to me means breaking the silence that maintains racial inequity and oppression, and in breaking that silence, we should demand change. So we need to stand firm against all forms of racism, hatred, oppression, and prejudice, and work to achieve racial justice and equity. I always say that everyone benefits from anti-racism work. It should not just be left to organizations such as CURB, but the entire community has to join these efforts. Ending racial discrimination benefits everybody. It starts with education, which includes understanding our human rights. It also includes understanding the history of racism and the systemic inequities and oppression that continues to plague our society.
I just want to jump in because I know you said it's going to take more than CURB, but why would people who benefit from racism want to change it? That's where I'm challenged. Like there are like people who benefit from the laws that have existed for so long, and
they don't want to give up that power or that privilege. But we need to continue, like, as our mandate says, to really fight against that and to bring about awareness and education. But I think in identifying when racism is present, and calling it out, it will make those people that don't want to change more uncomfortable. Like, we cannot let them just sit in their comfort.
But I think the challenge is, and I agree with all you said. I think the challenge is, it's so hard to prove racism. Like in a work, let's use work for instance.
Definitely.
There are people who, and I'll use myself. I've been in organizations where, again, I'm a Black man who is challenging. I'm outspoken. I asked a lot of questions, and that's not how we're supposed to be in certain spaces, right? And so they would they will make moves to kind of remove that kind of individual. And it's based on race, because a Black man speaking out is very different from a white man speaking out or a white woman, right? But then they will have, and I'll use this term, the token Black, to prove, or Black people, to prove that, oh, it's not based on race, it was based on this or that. But it's so hard to prove that. I don't know. Like, how do we get around?
So I think, some of the work that I've been doing or involved in, even outside of CURB, has been in equity assessments or equity audits, which exposes organizations in areas that they are not used to. And so if we ensure that some of these organizations go through these audits, it will make some change. And I do think that we're beginning to see some of that. I do believe that some of these organizations are being exposed more, where they have to consider what they're doing, especially when it comes to their Black employees and people of color. The more we make people more confident, or address internalized racism, where we show Black people that their value, they will speak up more, speak on their behalf. And the more like that organizations support those people in that effort, organizations will have to change. But I do get you. It has been systemic. It has been a problem forever. But I believe more and more organizations are looking at their practice around equity and inclusion.
And it's about time that we're looking at it, right? It's something we wish things would have been done, of course, all of these years and
Yeah.
ongoing, where we don't even have these necessary conversations. But what is CARB's strategy and plan to help reduce racism in Bermuda?
So right now we are in the midst of a strategic development plan here at CURB. We have identified some key areas which we may shift our focus to, such as internalized racism, just like I just said, essentially helping Blacks to understand our value. I believe, or we believe, that that will strengthen our community by having people really understand their value. We may even have to restructure CURB, the organization, to be more effective. We've been around for 17 years, so revisiting this right now is key. And as has always been our focus, we continue to tackle systemic racism by identifying inequity and influencing change in the workplace, like in hiring practices, inequity, in the criminal justice system through a restorative lens, and in our schools, in the media, and in society as a whole.
Well, with gun violence among Black men being a community concern, people believe that racist and discriminatory laws, stop and search, conscription, etc., would help reduce. What would CURB recommend instead of these laws?
That's an interesting question.
It is.
Um, you know, it's interesting because we believe, like, with CURB believes that, stop and search without probable cause is in the criminal code is an unjust act, and it results in racial profiling. So we have to have the conversations about what else can be done. And I believe everybody in the community, every organization is looking at how they can respond to some of the social ills that are happening within our communities. We're beginning to see more collaboration. We're beginning to see, a lot more discussions and attention to it. I believe that it will result in some good and some change, but I don't think we'll see it for a little bit, for a while, in the actual social ills that are happening, right? But it's I'm not sure if that answers your question fully, but it is a challenge that everybody is talking about right now, and we have started to implement a restorative justice task force. We're at the early stages of identifying people that will be on that, so that we can come up with some clear solutions on how to tackle some of these social ills.
If you have any questions or comments for Ms. Stacey-Lee Williams, please send them through and we'll ask as many as possible. But I want to stick on that one for a minute, because what I may say may shock some, but we know when it comes to the violence in Bermuda, there's a specific group, right? Based on the information we're given by the police and the authorities, it's mainly Black men involved in these activities, right? And as one who fought and spent to fight against conscription, I am in no way about giving up our rights to anyone freely, especially in the most discriminatory way possible. However, can we not be more focused and deliberate? If we know who the individuals are, can we not make them uncomfortable rather than making a broad law? And at that point, discrimination is necessary. And I want to give you the example, just so you know where I'm coming from, is there's legal discrimination and then there's discrimination. And the example I often give on this show is if Sherry owned a nursery and someone came to apply for a job at that nursery and they had a criminal conviction for child molestation, well, she's allowed by law to discriminate against that person from working at their nursery. Obvious. If I was owned a bank and someone has a history of stealing from that bank. My point is, there's certain times when discrimination is necessary. Do we not believe that discriminating against this group of individuals, who pretty sure we know who they are, targeted, is that not something that we're willing to say needs to be done? Or does it open up the door for other forms of discrimination that we probably won't be able to bring back?
It's a difficult conversation, right? But I do think that in some ways we are already putting some things in place to tackle those very people that are um, committing these offenses, right? Um, the very fact that you have to get these police background checks, or you have to, like, people are not hiring, people that have criminal backgrounds and things like that, is something that is occurring. But violation of people's rights, there's always that tension that can arise between individual and community rights. And that be seen that even with the recent COVID laws to protect the community, it's versus individual rights to choose. It's just
It's sticky.
It's a sticky
Yeah.
sticky topic, but we have to keep the discussions, whether we're uncomfortable about them or not. We don't all have the solutions, and I think your very questions are the ones that we need to be responding to, or delving into deeper.
It goes back to the question this morning about people being more engaged in the country's affairs. It's not just the politics. Again, this is a perfect conversation, because the more opinions we have, it really gives us a better idea. Or it's like brainstorming. When you were taught to write essays, you were taught to brainstorm for us to come up with an introduction, body, and conclusion. And I think this is what our community needs. Rosalind Famous is asking, do members of the Filipino, Latino, etc., or other marginalized populations have a voice through CURB?
So certainly in my role and in my new role, I see that as definitely something that we need to focus in more. We recently had that same question during our strategic sessions on the West Indian community. So it is definitely something we are open. We are open to support you if it's around racism, discrimination. We will definitely help to service your need.
All righty. I enjoy these conversations, and you've only been in the role recently. I think we definitely need to keep up to date with what you have going on in the community that people can learn from. Another question from Rosalind Famous is what is a one, or okay, I'm guessing it's an error, but what are some success stories from CURB?
Success stories. If you look at our racial justice platform for 2020, we've influenced some legislative decisions. Our timeline, our Black History timeline that we have printed, we sold out immediately, and we are now in print again because it's such a great tool for educators, for anyone in the community. Actually, our Truth and Reconciliation community conversations, we have seen, I think it's close to 2,000 people go through that, where we have conversations between the Black and white community that focus on Bermuda's history, and healing some of the harms that have been caused as a result of systemic oppression or racism. We're also like the lead organization on restorative practice in Bermuda. We have trained facilitators, and so we are now in the schools, we are in the wider community, we are getting into like the football clubs and things like that, and teaching them about restorative practice so that we can start to address some of the social ills in Bermuda. So we are quite busy. We provide several workshops defining racism, the history of racism, critical conversations on racism. We're going to be adding a series on how to talk to your children about race. So we're quite busy here.
All righty. Stacey-Lee Williams, CURB, thank you so much for this conversation. Obviously, we have a lot of work to do in Bermuda, in the community, and please know that if there's anything we can do on the daily hour, we will be open to assistance. All right, thank you so much.
Thank you. Can I just say one more thing? It's our tag day today, so get out there and support CURB, please. Thank you very much.
And I have one
for your time. Yes.
And one last thing, which side are you on, Miss Williams? Which side?
Somerset.
Well, on that note,
All righty.
have an okay day.
Thank you very much.
Have a great one. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Well, thank you so much for Ms. Williams. If you appreciate that conversation, give us a thumbs up, a love, a like. We're gonna do a giveaway. Just remembering, we're gonna do a giveaway. We're gonna give away a cop match towel today. So don't go anywhere. Somerset Austin Georgia's fan. Somebody's gonna be the lucky one. But appreciated that conversation. Cordell Wiley actually said Curb has spoken in the past against attacks on the Filipino community. It is very difficult to assist them and other like ethnic groups, since retaliation against them by employers can happen. So thank you for that, Cordell. We're going to take a quick break. Do not go anywhere. We're going to do the hashtag. We're going to give you the hashtag for today's giveaway after the break, do the daily play, and wrap it up. So stick with us.
A lot happens around your home. That is why at One Communications, we have introduced affordable security and video monitoring, because everyone should be able to afford to protect their family. Anytime, from anywhere, One Home Security keeps you connected and puts security in your hands with an easy-to-use smartphone app to control everything. Home security is important to keep you and your family safe. Motion-activated cameras around your home and security monitoring within create a complete security system, providing protection both inside and outside your home. Professional monitoring means that there's someone on call with 24/7 protection to notify the authorities and help keep you and your loved ones safe. We are dedicated to whole home protection with indoor and outdoor cameras, smart door locks, motion sensors, and more, so you'll always be connected to what matters most. With professional installation, no upfront hardware fees, and low monthly rates, because keeping your family safe should be affordable for everyone. Total home video monitoring and security, there's no better way to protect your home than with One Home Security.
All righty, welcome back. Thanks again to Stacey-Lee Williams. Folks, if you appreciated that conversation, give us a thumbs up, a love, a like. Make sure you share these kind of conversations as well. Folks, we shared the link to sign up. We shared the link to register for the TDH community. So it's in the comments on both Facebook and YouTube. So you can just go click that link, register to become a member so you don't miss out on those events next week. It's time for the daily play. Actually, once again, thanks to One Communications, Mendo's, Medical House, and People's Pharmacy. Time for the daily play, brought to you by Heineken 0.0 Great Taste, no alcohol, and Bermuda Trivia. Follow Bermuda Trivia on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Find out why it's Bermuda's favorite trivia game. Will be available in stores next week, so check them out. Sherry, it's trivia time. Are you ready?
Sure.
All right, it's cop match again today. We Somerset people don't do too great at this game, but let's do it. Righty. Very simple question. I think this is an easy question, folks. Easy question. Easy question. Any fans out there, any fans of cricket, or any people who are loud and obnoxious about cop match who don't know the answer to this question, consider yourself a cop match loser. That's how.
That's not good, Jamal, for me to go into a
no, you ain't a real cop match fan. Y'all a glory hunter if you don't get this. So let's do it. Here we go.
Glory hunter?
Yeah, y'all a glory hunter. This is easy. Who are the highest scoring siblings in cop match history?
Siblings? Is it Marshall Brothers? The Marshalls, aren't they?
It's the Marshall Brothers.
Okay, what is
No, it's the Marshall Brothers. The highest scoring siblings in cop match history. They got it. The audience got it. These are real cop match people. These are real cop match people. But I'm not going to give it to both how they answered it. What are the names of the brothers? You can't just say the Smith brothers or Smith family. What's their names?
My gosh.
There you go. Real cop match. Easiest question you would have got. Because that's in Georgia's people. You won't know it. You won't know it. They are the highest scoring siblings in cop match history. Wendell and Clay Smith, the highest.
I told you it would be interesting.
No, I thought I said, yeah, but see, you all are not. You're glory hunters. You're not real cop match fans if you don't know.
Okay, but glory, we have the cup.
Red and blue day. You're not real fans.
But we have to cook, Jamal. It's like whether we glory hunt or we know this information, we
no,
still have it.
my cousin remind you. She was reminding you. That's right.
Okay.
All right. Oh, folks, the hashtag is not the Daily Hour today. It's I'm sorry. Everybody's putting the Daily Hour. The hashtag
People all excited.
It's Cup Match. It was Cup Match the other day. It's Cup Match. We're going to be doing a lot of giveaways this week leading up to Cup Match as well. I celebrate 3 years of no alcohol this week, right? I don't like saying 3 years of sobriety because that makes it seem like I had a drinking problem, which I didn't. I just quit drinking. So, folks, our friends at Heineken 0.0 will be donating a case of Heineken 0.0. Also got some nice duffel bags. And Sherry, tell them how nice those duffel bags look.
Nice. Like I'm gonna be over here trying to figure out how to win. Like these bags are nice.
They are some of the best looking duffel bags. Renee Simmons says that's not fair was the Somerset question. There was a Somerset question yesterday.
And I think the day before. I'm with you on that, Jamal.
It's not about Somerset and Joy, it's about Cup Match. Just because you all didn't even know the answer to the Cup Somerset question yesterday.
Jamal, I was on your side. Bring it on. When she said that, and I said no, Renee.
You answered the Somerset question yesterday?
Yes.
You knew that Gennaro had the most Cup Match catches in history of the game?
Yes.
Okay.
I was over there saying yes, that I knew that all of that.
That's because Phil didn't ask the question, right? He asked true or false. All right, hashtag folks, Cup Match. Let's see what we got. Let's see what we got. And again, I'll put the thing for the TDH community in the chat as well. The link for you to sign up today so that you can come out and meet us in person. You can be involved and get invited to our events. So I've just put the link in the comments, both on YouTube. And for folks who are asking me what it's for, okay. It's for exclusive things, and we're not going to share them on this show. We'll share them with the people exclusively in the community. That's it. I mean, it's not a sales pitch. It's the truth.
Yeah.
You know? It's
only limited spaces. You want to be a part of this exclusive?
Yeah, because I'm like many people. All right, let's do the draw. Here we go. This is for today's Somerset Cup Match towel. What we got?
For today's Somerset Cup Match towel is just what you said. Yeah,
I did. I want a Somerset person to win because you're not gonna win much. Ah! Look who it is, Rosalind Famous.
Is she St. George's, Jamal?
Oh no, because she's always in and she don't ever really get lucky, and I'm happy for her. But Rosalind, congratulations. But are you a Somerset or St. George's fan? Let's answer this.
I feel like she's St. George's then.
Gotta be St. George's. Let's see what she says, Sherry. Let's see what she says. Rosalind, okay, she's saying yes, but are you a St. George's fan?
Congratulations, Rosalind.
Yeah, congratulations, but Somerset. She's St. George's.
I felt like she was in St. George's. I feel like I saw that before. That's why I wasn't excited like that.
It's a pattern here. Yeah. See, they say she's St. George. It's a pattern. On this show, all St. George's people are winning. This is a sign.
Well, take it where you can, Jamal. Take it where you can. Right. I don't know if you're going to be taking it at the end of this month, but take it here. It's fine.
It's a sign.
Let's remember, Jamal. Bring me to the big screen. Like,
send us an email, engage@thedailyhour.com, so you can collect your winning towel to wipe those tears off your Somerset family and friends after the game's all said and done, Rosalind. Sherry.
Listen, I carried this whole situation of Somerset last year by myself. I have assistants now. I don't need to take on you little people, in particular, little people, little St. George's people, little.
Anyway, Glory Hunter, give us some daily inspiration. Your team's going to do that.
Yesterday is but a dream. Tomorrow is only a vision. But today, well lived, makes every yesterday a dream of happiness and every tomorrow a vision of hope.
All righty. I like that one, Sherry.
Kalidasa. I think I said it right.
Oh, I don't know that person, but hey, they speak some good stuff into us. Speak some good stuff into us. Thanks again, folks, to our partners, Medical House, One Communications, Lindos, and People's Pharmacy for ensuring that we're able to do this with you on a daily basis. As always, we appreciate you, we love you, and we thank you for making us part of your daily routine. If all goes well, we'll be back to do this again with you tomorrow. She's Sherry Vanderpool. I'm Jamel Hartman. My friends, make it a safe and great day. We are out. Peace.